everybody and welcome back to the first episode of Intense Interval. I'm recording this just moments after coming home. I'm still in my biking jersey as I wanted to record this podcast as soon as I can after riding the first time. So just to recap what the third type of interval training is about. So as usual, I do 15 minutes of warm-up. Then there comes 20 seconds of intense pedaling, so not just intense pedaling, but pedaling as hard as I can, basically until throwing up. Then I do 2 minutes of calm down, and I'm repeating the 20 seconds of intense interval and 2 minutes of resting for 10 times. After that, the interval training is done. So today's first 50 minutes of warm-up have been as usual. I met actually a friend, so I had to reset my timer as I talked with him at the very beginning of the warm-up. So I reached a bit further than I usually do by riding 50 minutes. So the first intense interval had been on the second steep ramp, which was hard, especially in the last few seconds of the 20 seconds interval. After that, the 2 minutes of rest have been of a really big use for me, as I felt as exhausted as I would after 3 intense intervals, as I usually pushed even harder on the third interval of the second interval type of training, where I did 5 minutes of intense interval. So I didn't thought that I actually would need 2 minutes. First of all, I thought, why not reduce the pause to 1 minute? But in the end, 2 minutes have been just right to calm down and get my heartbeat back to a normal rate. Especially at the beginning, I thought 2 minutes is way too much, but proceeding to one intense interval to the next, I really was looking forward to those 2 minutes of rest. As 20 seconds of extreme pedaling is, at the beginning, it's okay. It feels really good to put out everything you got in your legs, but the last 5 seconds it's getting really hard. I started to get that empty feeling in my stomach because all of the blood is going into my legs. So I really felt this, especially on the last interval. And as I already said, the last 5 seconds, they are just hard, nothing more. And the mind is completely focused on hammering into those pedals as hard as possible. So there is no other thought than pushing as hard as I can in my mind. The intense interval is that intense that I cannot think of anything else, just one thought in my mind. And really the hardest interval was the last interval. Usually my timer starts beeping 20 seconds before the next intense interval. And on the last pause, actually on the last break section, I was hearing the timer beeping and I thought, okay, I have to start in 20 seconds, but I'm not ready yet. I was way more exhausted than I was in the previous breaks. A break means pedaling normally to get my heartbeat back to a normal rate. So hearing the timer go off that early, actually it was early as on the previous breaks, but I couldn't fully recover from the last intense interval. So I was some sort of still tired from the last interval, but I had to do one remaining interval. And what I also did, I didn't make it easy for me. So if I missed the start by a few seconds, I extended the intense interval for a few seconds afterwards to recover those missing seconds. So it was always 20 seconds of intense pedaling. And during the whole ride, I tried to end up at the start of the trail. I always managed to be there exactly after the 10th intense interval. I had to descend for 50 meters or something. And what I noticed there, I made a longer break to put on my protection gear and I quickly started to feel dizzy. So while going down, I didn't felt that way, but waiting for a bit, I really felt dizzy. I didn't want to throw up, but it was some strange feeling, which then vanished while going down. So I don't know if that was a lack of blood sugar or if I was just too exhausted. We will see if that happens again on the next few interval rides, and I will let you know if I find any cure for that. What I forgot to mention, I was pedaling while standing up. So it was some sort of stand-up pedaling. I guess it's not the appropriate term in this case, because stand-up pedaling is more like standing on that board, pedaling with your arms on a lake or on the sea. But I have actually read if you pedal without being seated, forces your back muscles and upper body muscles to work, which then in the end will result in not as much back pain on longer rides and rides which are more demanding from a power and intensity perspective. So I will do, as usual, 2 weeks of interval training every other day, 20 seconds of really hard pedaling while not being seated. So I will see how much that will increase my stamina, and if my back pain, I don't really have that much back pain, but I will see if I get any muscle soreness in my back during the training, and if it improves my overall riding experience while doing longer uphills. As usual, I will post the results here on the podcast to let you know. And as you know, I only share things which I tried myself, so no theoretical knowledge over here, only things approved by me, which I've experienced by myself. With that said, it would be cool if you could give me some suggestions. If you have heard of any theory you want me to try out, I'm looking forward to your suggestions and ideas. With that said, thank you for listening, and until the next time.